We take more photographs every single year than in the entire history of photography put together. And one of the major reasons that we are at that level of taking photographs is down to histogram. The same way that at the turn of the 20th century, the Box Brownie and Kodak revolutionized photography for the masses, Instagram has changed how we see and how we share the world. Now, there are certainly many positives and many negatives when it comes to Instagram, all of which we will explore throughout this lesson. But I want you to be able to use it to get more people to see your photographs, to share more photographs, and to be inspired and to find new types of photography to explore. Because ultimately, we take photographs for them to be seen, and sharing your photographs is very important to your development as a photographer. My name is William Eames. Welcome to lesson number 1 of module number 2 in the smartphone photography course. So as I mentioned, welcome to Module 2, Lesson number 1. Just a little bit of housekeeping to get through as always, although I'm sure if you're here you know the drill at this stage. Remember to download the app if you haven't at all, and just like Module number 1, if you miss a class or you need to reschedule anything, you can always do so via the app or via the web page through your student area. So this way you'll never miss a lesson. And remember to put on those push notifications and the add to calendar option as well, so that you'll always know when your next lesson is coming up. So let's have a look at what we're going to be covering in this first lesson. So we're going to be talking all about Instagram and how important Instagram is for photographers. Now, you may have mixed feelings about Instagram. You might love Instagram, you might use it daily, you might post a lot of photographs up there already. Maybe you don't use Instagram at all. Maybe you're not really okay with sharing your photographs. Maybe you see it as something that isn't good for photographers, but it was really important for photographers. Instagram is made for photography. Instagram is made to share your photographs, and I'm going to help you how to get the most out of Instagram. To use it in a way that suits you and suits your photography. And just if you just want to get a couple of more people to see your photographs, this lesson will help you to achieve that. So we're going to have a look at, first of all, a couple of different things. First of all, we'll talk about hashtags, how they work. We'll talk about different filters, algorithms, a source of controversy when it comes to Instagram, and how you can kind of get around the algorithms. We'll talk about supplemental apps that you can use with your Instagram to help to change things a little bit, to to post up something slightly different every single day. We'll talk about how you can boost your posts and tips to get more followers as well. So first of all, just a brief intro and overview of Instagram. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Instagram in great detail, but I just want to talk a little bit about where it came from originally, what its aim was, and where it kind of is today in terms of the social media world and indeed the business world, because Instagram has become a huge marketing tool. And I mean, I'm sure many of you, even when you were signing up for this course initially, probably saw the advertisements for the course through Instagram. Shaw Academy uses Instagram very, very frequently when it comes to promoting courses. It is a huge platform for marketing, but it's always been about content, and more importantly, has always been about photography. So, first of all, just what is it? It's a social networking app. So at the heart of it, it's about sharing pictures and videos with friends. Now, of course, they've added a lot more features like stories, which are hugely popular as well. Short little clips that you can put up daily of things that you're doing. There's loads of extra features and things that we can use with it, like the kind of face apps and putting stickers on and little bits of music and so on to make things entertaining for people who follow us. Has grown far beyond now just that social networking, and as I mentioned, it is a major source of marketing for advertising for businesses, which is a source of frustration, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on when it comes to algorithms. But depending on how you use Instagram, it'll very much influence what you see. And this is something that I really want to speak about because I have friends who they don't like Instagram at all, but I have to say I'm a fan of it. I like it, and it's because of how I use it. I only see things that I want to see. I kind of tailor it to a specific way to see stuff that I'm interested in and stuff that's inspirational, stuff that's all about photography. Not see all that other kind of stuff that's out there that I don't see to be relevant at all. So, just a little bit of background with the Instagram. It was originally launched in 2010 by Kevin Systrom. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And Michael Krieg. Now, they're both no longer with the company. They both left the company a couple of years ago. It was originally developed for iPhone with the launch of iPhone, and then 2 years later, the Android version followed in 2012. Facebook famously bought it in 2012 for $1 billion. And algorithm changes were then introduced in 2016. So originally, when you logged on to Instagram, you saw things chronologically. So, whoever was the last person to post an image, they would come up first in your feed, and you simply scrolled down through it until you got to the point where it said you were all caught up. So it was a very intuitive, very simple, easy app to use. It's very different now. With the algorithm, which is very much designed so that you're going to see more advertisements, but we'll speak about that a little bit later on. And its current head is Adam Mosseri, and you can actually follow him at Mosseri as well. Doesn't post too frequently, but he is the current head of Instagram, and it's the sixth largest social media platform out there. The sixth largest social media platform out there. For photographers, though, it is probably number one really when it comes to sharing our photographs, and I would always choose to post something on Instagram over other pages like Facebook or anything like that. So why would you use Instagram? So if you're not using Instagram already, what kind of case can you make for actually using it? Well, first of all, you've over 1 billion users per month, and that number just keeps getting higher and higher and higher. So these are the latest stats on Instagram, and I mean, even if you were to look at stats 2 years ago, there's already been a huge jump in the numbers of people using Instagram. There's over 50 billion photographs shared to date. Again, that only gets higher and higher and higher. And from a business perspective, there's 25 million businesses on Instagram. So a huge number of companies use Instagram as a primary way of advertising their businesses. Now, of course, from a photography perspective as well, if you're thinking about starting a photography business, it's really, really important to be aware of all of this as well, which we will speak of. There's just a couple of more stats for you as well. So, in terms of the ratio of female to male, it's nearly 50-50 split between female to male who are using it. 89% of users outside the US. Now, that said, the 11% of users that are within the US would have the majority of users on Instagram. So that 89% makes up the rest of the entire world. But the biggest percentage ratio would be of users would be in the US. Unsurprisingly, most popular with 18 to 29-year-olds. But I'm outside of that category, and I still use it, and nearly everybody in my social circle will use it as well. 63% of users will log in daily and spend about an average of 28 minutes on the app. Now, that's not all at once, that's over the course of a day. You might just be scrolling on it in the morning, take a break at lunch, go through it then, and then in the evening, and so on. So, one stat that I found to be very, very positive is that National Geographic is the most popular Instagram brand page. So now I'm not talking about specific user profile. That I think that's Cristiano Ronaldo, who has the most followers, something like that. But I'm talking about brand page, and it is a photography based one, which is National Geographic, which I have to say I find to be a positive stat around Instagram. So National Geographic, if you're not following it already, Nat Geo, just give them a quick follow. As you can see here, it's probably even more posts, probably even more followers now. Since I created this lesson, but lots and lots of stuff to check out there daily. And as I mentioned, it is very much all photography based. So a really, really positive one there. So let's get into Instagram. So one of the things that made Instagram very appealing at the beginning, of course, were its filters. So the ability to upload something onto the Instagram. Now it was originally 1:1 format as well, a square format, but you could apply a filter to it. So it meant that for a lot of people, it was their first introduction into doing some kind of editing to their photographs to give their photographs some type of style and to make them unique. Now, you, at the beginning, there was kind of criticisms, people overusing filters, and there was the hashtag no filter and so on. But the fact that you even had the option to do that, for, as I mentioned, for many people, it was a first. It was a first a chance that they were able to see that they were able to do something a little bit more with their photographs when it came to editing. And the most popular filter is the Clarendon filter, which adds a bit of contrast, a bit of coolness to a photograph. So it just boosts the contrast in your shot instantly, and it does make things a little bit cooler as well. But it is actually the most popular filter, probably as well because it's the first one. So when you're actually going through them, probably out of sheer laziness, people just go with that first option, just click it off, add a quick edit to their photographs. But there's plenty of other filters there to check out. Will make your colors pop. Ludwig is also very, very popular. Adds intensifies red hues. We've got Lark, turn up the brightness, but keeps it natural. Gingham, tone down the colors slightly for a vintage look. Lo-fi, intensify everything for more drama, and then Valencia, which as we can see adds warmth and light by bringing out yellows. So these are just a quick overview of the top filters. So, I mean, if you don't want to spend too much time editing your photographs, you can absolutely just check out these filters for a very quick look. But if you're uploading onto Instagram and you haven't done any editing through another app like Snapseed or some other, or like Lightroom or something like that, Instagram itself actually has a very comprehensive editing app built into it, which we'll have a quick look at now. So here we are in Instagram, ready to upload a photograph. We've got a couple of different options here available to us. Obviously, we've only got the one photograph here that we're going to work on. You've got a few options there if you want to add more photographs with the with Boomerang. We've got a layout option there as well. You can see all of those just underneath the photograph there on the right hand side. We can also zoom in on the photograph if we want to as well. Now, if we want to upload a video, we also have that option there, as we can see at the bottom, or we can change the photograph that we want by pressing photo, or we can actually instantly take a photograph by pressing that option as well. So we're just going to hit next in the top right hand corner for now, and that brings us to our filters. So as we just mentioned, Clarendon, it makes the image colder, adds a lot of contrast to it there as well. Really not suitable for this photograph. You can go through them. Gingham's not too bad on it. We've got a couple of black and white filters there as well. So there's a couple there that look okay, and then there's some that really just don't suit the photograph at all. Like these they're overdone ones in my opinion. X Pro 2 is very overdone and so on. But we don't want any of those. We're just going to go back to normal, and instead we're going to go to edit, which is in the bottom right hand corner. So we click edit, and as you can see, we do have a fairly decent range of options available to us when it comes to editing. So all the kind of basic standard ones that you would expect to see in any kind of editing app. First of all, we have adjust. So if you want to zoom in, you can zoom in, pinch to zoom as it says. We can change the vertical and the horizontal axis. Okay. So not too much room there to move around with that. That's our horizontal axis. As you can see, we can stretch it. So these are good for perspective changes if you are, say, you're working on something architectural. So as you can see, we're changing the vertical and the horizontal there. We don't want any of that. You can rotate your image there as well. Sorry. Just get it back to normal. We don't want any of that, so we can just hit cancel. Okay, but that adjustment is really good if you want to straighten out the lines in our photographs. You want to adjust perspective or anything like that in the photograph. Very useful for architectural type of photographs. Don't want that for now. We've got our standard brightness. This is just like our exposure option within Snapseed or any other kind of editing app. We can just brighten up the photograph a little bit. I'll do that here. We'll put it to about 15. You can add a bit of contrast. So remember, the contrast is the difference between our blacks and our whites in our photograph. As you can see, if we reduce the contrast down, it gives it that kind of filter type of effect. We can bang it up there as well, and it gives us that lo-fi type of effect here as well. I'm actually going to reduce the contrast down a little bit. It's just bringing out a little bit more detail there in the birds. Now again, depending on your monitor, looking at my phone, the image actually looks very nice. Looking at it on the laptop monitor, it's actually gone quite flat. So it can be a little bit it just in case you are looking at it and it doesn't look particularly good on the edit, it can be down to the difference in the monitor. But we just click OK on that. Structure then will allow us to add mid-tone contrasts. So adding mid-tone contrast will basically add kind of, it gives it a bit more of a punch. Now when I say mid-tone contrast, it's not the blacks or the whites that it's adding contrast to, it's the greys, the middle parts of the exposure, and mid-tone contrast then gives that appearance of adding a little bit of sharpness and clarity to the image. So you can add a little bit of that there to the photograph. We can add warmth, so we can change our coolness to it. So this is our white balance essentially. If we want to add a little bit to it, so I'll add a little bit of warmth to that. Saturation, then the overall level of the colors. We can reduce the saturation to get a quick black and white photograph. I'll leave that where that is. And then we've got color here as well, so you can actually change the color of the shadows or the color of the highlights. So you can actually do split toning with this. That's when you add one colour to the shadows or one colour to the highlights. So say, for example, now it's quite intense there, but I'll add a bit of blue to the shadows. I'll go to my highlights and I could add a little bit of green. Or, you could add a little bit of yellow. Very intense though on that one. So I'll definitely just switch that off for now. But split toning, something we will have a look at when when we're having a look at the Lightroom app. Helps you to get very unique kind of looks to your photographs. Happy with that. And you can add a fade there as well. So that basically just that's like using curves when we are increasing the particularly the blacks. We're raising those blacks as well to turn them to grey, to give that faded kind of film look. Okay, so there's plenty more there that you can check out. Vignette, if you want to add a bit of darkness to the edges. You got a bit of a tilt shift option here as well. You can go radial, and you can expand that out by pinching it, or you can go linear. And finally then we have sharpen. So if you're happy with all of that, then you just hit edit and then you can start tagging. Okay, so you've got a couple of options here available to you as well. So you can write your caption. So we'll speak about captions and hashtags now in a moment. It's important to put a good caption on it. If you want more people to see it, I usually don't unless it's something very particular. You can tag people in it if you like. You can add a location. This was actually taken in South Africa, this particular photograph, but you can see it kind of has the last areas that you were. You can also choose to post it onto Facebook, Twitter or Tumblr at the same time as well. And when you're happy with all of that, all you have to do is hit share. So that's, it's a fairly comprehensive, as I said, a very comprehensive editing option within Instagram. Let's jump back to our slides. Now, so that's really the basics of Instagram in terms of just an overview of what Instagram is and just making some basic edits to your shot. Next, we'll have a look and talk all about hashtags. Before we do that, I have a question for you. What is so special about this dog? Okay, so obviously a cutie here, but there's something particularly special about this dog, and I want you to tell me what that is. Of course, I'll reveal the answer at the end of this lesson. Okay, so obviously something to do with Instagram, this particular dog, and you'll find out at the very end of the lesson, or maybe you already know the answer. Of course, you can interact using Morpheus, and please do continue to interact there. Hopefully, you've begun to see some improvements with Morpheus. We have certainly been updating him very, very frequently recently based on your feedback, based on your input. So please continue to rate those responses so we can continually improve them for you. Now, let's move on to topic number 2, which is all about hashtags. And what are hashtags? So I'm sure you have seen hashtags. You're probably very familiar with hashtags. They're used on nearly every social media platform now. You know, Instagram probably made them famous, but they are certainly used on Facebook as well, and indeed on Twitter too. Basically, it's just an index. It's something that we can use to group photographs with other types of photographs of the same ilk. So you can hashtag, say you're doing something with makeup. You just hashtag makeup. That means that will go into all the other index of other photographs that are hashtagged with makeup as well. So if you want to click on a hashtag, you can see everything else that is indexed within that hashtag as well. And this is how people can find new photographs. Now, you can use a lot of hashtags on your photos, and this is how we can get our photographs to be seen. The thing with hashtags is how to use them correctly. Okay, so it's very, very easy to put a lot of hashtags on your shot, but you need to make sure that they're ones that are relevant to your photographs and ones that people are going to see, and they're not just going to get lost in the mass of photographs that are all over Instagram. So why should you hashtag? Well, a post with at least one Instagram hashtag will average about 12.6% more engagement than a post without hashtags. Simply just putting one hashtag means that more people are going to see your photos. The recommended amount is at least 15, which does seem like a lot, but it is the recommended minimal amount, and 30 is the maximum amount of hashtags that you can have on a post. So 30 is the total limit. The most popular photography hashtag is, no surprise, hashtag photography, and photo of the day is the second most popular. So those two hashtags, I would say, at least should be ones that you're putting on to your photography posts. Okay, and as you can see there's a sample of fashion ones. So you can see hashtag fashion, an insane number. I don't even want to try and call that number out, but quite a big difference then with the one below it, and so on. So that top one there, fashion. If you're into your fashion, you should be using that. But it's such a high volume of posts as well, though, with that hashtag, that your photographs will probably be lost. So this is why your supplementary hashtags, your other hashtags, are going to be really, really important to make sure that your images are going to be seen. So hashtags will help you to gain more likes, it'll help you to gain more followers, it'll help you to gain connections, and importantly, if you're using Instagram as a business, it'll help you to gain more clients as well. You should also follow hashtags. So obviously, with this course I've been telling you to use, Shaw Smart Photo. If you're following that hashtag, you're going to see what other students are posting up, quite regularly, and I am seeing more and more people use it, which is great. But it also means that you're going to discover new photographers, you're going to discover new interests. So if you hashtag nature, if you hashtag nature photography, if you hashtag wildlife photography or anything like that, whatever your interest is, you're going to see more things come into your Instagram feed that are related to that, instead of seeing all this other stuff that you may have no interest in whatsoever. So following hashtags determines what actually comes into your feed, and you can track hashtags as well. So if you have a business business accounts. This is something we won't look at in this lesson, but if you do our social media course, Jess talks a lot about Instagram on that course. You can use a lot of analytics within Instagram from a business perspective to track hashtags, see how many people are engaging with a certain type of hashtag, and so on. So the 10 most popular overall hashtags: hashtag love, hashtag instagood, hashtag photo of the day is the third one, which might make no sense given that I said photography was the top hashtag for photographers. So it's all about context. So for photography related posts, hashtag photography is the most popular. In Instagram in general, photo of the day is the third most used one. Hashtag fashion, as I mentioned, hashtag beautiful, hashtag happy, hashtag cute, and so on. TBT, Throwback Thursday, which is a really good one. So if you're going through your photographs or going through something and you find something that you took a few years ago that you want to post up again, you can use Throwback Thursday. Like for like, don't use that. And follow me, those are two that I would avoid. So they're ones that are people are just out there trying to gain as many followers as possible. They're putting up generic stuff. They're just looking to get more and more people to follow them in the hopes that a business will kind of get onto them then and they'll start making money. You know, influencers and stuff would use like for like and follow me. I don't recommend that you use them, but it's obviously, of course, entirely up to you. Now, the problem with using these really popular hashtags is that so many people are using them that you might find then that they actually have no impact on your photographs because they're just getting lost in the mire, the billions and billions of photographs that are being posted up. So it is really important to think about how you use these. You might use one or two of these, but you have to mix it up with other ones as well. Looking at the most popular photography hashtags, so for photography, photo of the day, hashtag photo, these are the three most popular, and I would generally recommend that you include these three or at least one of these three in your posts. You'll get more people seeing your photographs. They are incredibly popular. So again, you know, just using these on their own, you'll probably find that you're not going to get too many people discovering your work because there's just so many photographs being posted up. But I still think it's important to put them in. Hashtag photographer. You can hashtag love, nature, instagood, Instagram, pick of the day. So these are also really important ones to use as well. Hashtag art as well is also a really good one to use. Personally, out of these ones, I would use photography, photo of the day, photo and photographer. And then after that, then it'll really depend on what is in the photograph and who I want to see the shot. So here is a photograph. We're going to try this ourselves now. We're going to see what type of hashtags we might put on this photograph. So we want to try and get 15 hashtags for this shot. And you want to diversify the types of hashtags that you use. You don't want to just use those most popular ones. And hashtags really should be telling the truth as well. Don't just put in a hashtag that's popular when it has absolutely nothing to do with your photograph, because that'll actually just annoy people. And I know it annoys me when, you know, if I'm trying to find something in particular and an incorrect hashtag has been used, because it just wastes your time. So say for this photograph, we can use hashtag photography, hashtag photo of the day. As I mentioned, you want to try and get at least one of those in. So we've got two of those in there. It's a sunset. So with this, it's kind of say what you see, if you ever played catchphrase, but say what you see. So we've got sunset, it's faded, so we've used a faded kind of look to it, so we can hashtag faded. It's a symmetrical composition, so we can put in that. So it's symmetrical, it's this photograph of the sea, it's a photograph of a jetty. It's dramatic. It's a dramatic photograph, so we can put that in. It's an urban shot taken in the city, so hashtag urban. It's clearly a long exposure because we can see that water's nice and smooth and silky. It's a low light shot as well, so you can pop that in. We can also think then about the type of camera, the type of phone that we use to photograph. So say for example we use a Nikon to photograph this. It was a full frame Nikon, so we can hashtag full frame. It was a 24mm lens that we used. find it to be a peaceful shot, we can hashtag peaceful and we can hashtag Dublin. So I think we've got 16 tags there altogether, if I count that correctly. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, sorry, 15. So we got to our 15 tags there. And as you can see, very diverse. So think about this when you're putting your own hashtags in, exactly what's in the photograph. Think about what lens you use, think about the composition of the photograph, the type of exposure that you used, the type of effects that you used in the shot. Add all of these in as your hashtags, and I guarantee you more people will see the shot. And try this out with your own photographs and see if you get more likes. Now, one of the biggest banes to Instagram users recently, over the last few years, has been algorithms. So, when the app was originally launched, as I mentioned earlier on, things would come up in a chronological order, meaning that you would see the most recent post first, and you could go down through it and see what was kind of posted on that day until you got caught up. Now, things changed in 2016 where things basically got a bit mixed up. So the idea was that because more and more businesses were using it, that they wanted more adverts to come into people's feeds. So they mixed things up, and you weren't really seeing things in chronological order anymore. It also means that you can miss posts from your friends, from your family, from people you're following, and it can be quite frustrating. But it was kind of changed really to show more of what you liked. So based on what you were looking at, you would begin to see more posts that were based on the things that you liked, which it really depends. You could have kind of two perspectives on this. I find with my Instagram that I see a lot of photography unsurprisingly come up. My wife is into she's an interior architect, so she sees loads of architectural stuff come up in her feed, but that's what she wants to see, and I want to see photographs, so I'm actually all right with that. The problem is that when you begin to miss people's posts because of the way the algorithm works. Now it's constantly changing, so it has kind of changed again. But it can be difficult then when we're posting our own work for it to be seen based on the algorithm. But you can get over the algorithm by, first of all, stepping up your photo quality. So this is the main thing, is that Instagram tends to kind of push photographs that are of a really high standard, of a really high quality. Now, I don't know what that is based on, like how it determines what quality is, but I suppose you just want to be trying to post your absolute best photographs there, and you should really be doing that. You shouldn't just be posting something for the sake of posting. You should really only be posting up photographs that you really want people to see and that you want to share. Keep publishing consistent stories. Again, this is if you're really into business, and you're trying to get more people from a business perspective. Stories are a huge way people engage on Instagram. Publish more video content, again, more from a business type of perspective. Go live more often. These are much more business orientated tips. Craft more compelling captions. So these ones that I have marked in bold are ones that as photographers we should be paying more attention to. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not great on captions, which is generally why I don't post them. But if you put a good caption with your photograph, this is not the same as a hashtag. It's just simply the description maybe of the photograph, or a title of the photograph, or whatever, a little story behind the photograph. This will help the push your photograph. So think about what you're saying within that caption to publish or to push your shot. Again, run a contest or a giveaway if you're a business. Harness the power of your hashtags. We've spoken about that there. So the better that you hashtag, the more that you hashtag as well. Putting in more hashtags will help your images get seen. And try to post during peak hours. Now again, this is going to be very dependent on where you're from and where you're living, but you can think about this then as well. So say for example, you're in the UK, you want people in New York to see your photographs, so there's a 5-hour difference there. So if you're posting in, say, at 1 o'clock in the UK, people in New York are going to be seeing it in the morning, which, they're going to be more active in the morning because they're on their, well, they would typically be on their way to work. Think about that then as well, when they're leaving work and so on. So you can actually get apps and so on, which I'll speak about in a second, that will help you to maximize the time that you're posting as well. So Sprout Social, as I just mentioned, this is, if you want to line up and time your posts, it's really, really good. It works with Instagram, so that you can add other social media platforms. Particularly good for businesses again, but also good for just everyday use as well. So again, if you've got a lot of photographs that you want to share, you should not be sharing them all at the same time. You want to spread them out. Sprout Social is really, really good for that, for timing your posts, and you can use that then for your peak times to get more people to see your photographs. Be Funky is a simple editing app designed to use with Instagram. PicMonkey, particularly good for selfie retouching. So if you're taking a lot of photographs of yourself, you're putting them on Instagram. Very quick retouching on PicMonkey. Check that out. Adobe Avery, editing, but it's actually got helpful suggestions. So it's slightly different. It uses an algorithm, an AI, to analyze your photograph and suggest types of edits that would be useful for your editing. And because it's from Adobe, you know that it's going to be quality. Canva is good for creating graphics. So if you want to put some text on your photographs, you want to put some frames and things like that on your photographs on Instagram, Canva, a great one to check out. Piktochart, so if you're into marketing, you're into sharing infographics and things like that, because remember, Instagram's not just about photography. You can post any kind of media on it. Piktochart will allow you to create very simple, really cool looking infographics. Particularly good, if you're using Instagram from a marketing perspective. Frame-matic, lots of frames, lots of collage that you can use there as well. Instagram also has their own version of that too. No crop is one that I use, really good, so make sure you don't crop your photographs. So posting landscapes on Instagram is fine, but it does crop on aspect ratios when you are posting a portrait, a vertical photograph. So I find no crop to be really, really good to avoid that. So you just put it in the photograph into no crop first of all, and you can actually upload it directly onto Instagram via no crop. And Instagram layout, like Frame-matic, another layout app, but it's actually from Instagram itself. It's really good for doing multiple photographs. So if you want to post multiple photographs together, what I really like it for is you can kind of get a contact sheet type of look to your shots. So if you want, say you're doing a lot of photographs that are of a similar theme, or you want to show a process of how you take your photographs, I find the Instagram layout to be good for that, because you can kind of get a contact sheet look like the old contact sheets when we were printing negatives. You can do that within Instagram layouts, and indeed within Frame-matic as well. Now, so we've only got one topic to look at before we finish up this lesson, but let's look to our skills. So we've got a new module, so it's time for a new set of skills. Well, the same set of skills, just to advance upon them. So we've completed module 1, our technical vocabulary, creative ability and editing, and advanced skills are now beyond the basics, and we're at an intermediate level. So this is our starting point for this module. We've covered quite a lot already within this lesson. So, we've talked about certainly our vocabulary, we've added a lot to it. And when you talk about hashtagging, it's all about vocabulary. So, the more words that you have, the more vocabulary that you have, the more easier it's going to be for you when you're putting in your hashtags. Our creative ability, using those filters, the layouts, our editing skills, obviously within Instagram editing, our advanced skills to get our photographs seen. So, of course, we'll be building upon each of these as we continue on throughout this module. Now, I just want to show you what's coming up very quickly in our next lesson, and we're going to be having a look at one of my favorite areas when it comes to photography, which is black and white. There's a lot more to black and white than simply changing the photograph to black and white, as we're going to see, but it'll open up a lot more new creative options to you and a new way of seeing with your photography as well. So please do join me for that lesson number 2, module 2, black and white photography. Now, moving on to our final topic, let's have a look at some tips for you to gain followers, and really just, basic kind of tips around etiquette and so on when it comes to using Instagram. So first of all, remember, Instagram is informal, so a lot of businesses use Instagram, to promote themselves and that, but they always do it in a kind of an informal way. We don't spend a huge amount of time on Instagram at any single time. We would use it in small kind of portions, small time frames throughout the day, because we just want to have a quick look at it and see what's going on. So your posts really should be reflecting that. Now, obviously, it's important sometimes if you're doing serious work to put some serious photographs up, but really you should be thinking of Instagram as a way your work in progress. It should not be your portfolio. If you want to show people an image or something from a portfolio, you should always have a link to to a website or to a blog where you're actually putting your portfolio on it. Instagram is about being informal and trying to post frequently, but keeping your very, very best and your very special work. That should be done through a website. Only post your best photographs. Don't just post for the sake of it, and don't post too many of the same type of photograph as well. Learn to edit your posts in the sense that you want to make sure that you're not posting too frequently. You're not posting like 5 or 6 photographs a day that are of the same type of content. You should, maybe at the minimal, post at least once a day, or once every couple of days, or you could post maybe 2 photographs in a day and so on. But try to keep it varied and really only post your very best photographs. It should be really ones that you're really happy to show people, and not ones that you're kind of on the fence about. And if you're ever unsure, try and get a second opinion before you post up something. Faces get likes, unsurprisingly, and this is something that I found out recently myself. I don't put too many portraits up on my Instagram, but I did put one up and it got a huge amount of attention. So faces get about 38% more likes. People like to see other people, so if you're posting up selfies or you're posting up portraits, they tend to get much more attention. So do think about that when you're posting. Put an occasional selfie up to get more people interested, and to push your followers and that a little bit more. Be consistent as well. It is difficult when you're starting out to be consistent because you're still trying to find your style, but eventually you'll find a niche. You'll find something that is distinctly yours when it comes to photography, and try to be consistent with that then as well. Obviously, you can still experiment as well. I'd like to keep things quite varied, but I'll put up a lot of black and whites as well as a lot of colour photographs too. But do try to keep consistency when it comes to your posts and with your photography. Post smartly as well. As I mentioned, think about the time of day that you're posting at and how frequently to post as well. So you want to be trying to hit people at peak times. Putting your photographs up just before peak time so that they log on and that they're going to see your posts at that time. Think about who you want to see your posts at what particular time. So as I said, if you want people in the States to see your photographs, think about the time of day you're posting up those photographs. If you want people in the UK, you want people further east to see your photographs, think about the times of day that you're posting up your shots. And tag businesses and pages. So, if you're photographing, say like this, you're photographing food in a restaurant that you love, tag the restaurant. Tag the restaurant as well. They're not going to complain. They'll be happy with the tag with the posts and that. They might use your photograph as an image of the day and so on. And again, recently enough, I took a photograph in Dublin's Phoenix Park, a huge park here, and I hashtagged Phoenix Park, and they picked up on the photograph and they posted it on their page, and I got even more likes that way. So think about that too, even posting in your local park, tagging that, and you might find that someone picks that up and they put it onto their page, and you end up getting more likes and getting more followers from that too. Okay, that's a really good way of getting more people. Think about your bio. It's the first thing people are going to see, and it sets the overall tone to your shots. If you're into just black and white, logically you should have a black and white photograph. Think about what you want to say about yourself as well. You should definitely post up, if you have a website or a blog, in your bio as well. You should have links to those things within your bio so that people can check them out too. So you can keep it short, you can keep it simple. Don't try and put too much in, because people aren't going to read something that's very, very long. It should be again, setting the tone. So if it's a business page, you might want to have it a little bit more formal. If it's just a personal page, sure, keep it informal and keep it light. And follow your idols, follow other people who you aspire to be like. If there's photographers who you admire, you should follow them. Okay, definitely follow them. You'll see what they're doing. You'll get ideas from what they're doing. They might post up something that you should check out, and then it continues on that way. You're going to find more and more work, and it's also a really good way of meeting or reaching out and connecting with people who are like-minded, who are into the same type of work that you are into as well. So definitely follow people who you admire. Finally, probably the most important one is to be real. Instagram is full of people who, well, for want of a better word, are perhaps not showing the reality of who they are. They're showing a reality that they only want us to see. What we call it maybe a hyper reality. You should try to be real, because remember, this isn't just going to be something that is fleeting. You could have your Instagram profile for years and years to come, and obviously then it's going to become an archive of you. It's going to have lots of your memories. So you want it to be real. You want it to look back on it and be, like, this is me, this is who I am. And instead of kind of posting up these things that are maybe trendy or a bit silly, you might want to think twice about that. Okay, so do try to be real and to show yourself as who you really are using Instagram, which is easier said than done, of course. Now, so earlier on, I asked you the question, what is so special about this dog? And well, it was the first photograph that was posted onto Instagram by Kevin Systrom. Took a picture of his dog in Mexico near a taco stand with his girlfriend's foot. And it was the very first Instagram photograph. I don't know how many likes it got, or even if it's still up there. I didn't think to check that before the lesson. But this was the very first image that was posted onto Instagram back in 2010. So there you go. Now, so that's the end of this lesson. Lesson number 2, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking all about black and white photography, elements to successful black and white photography, how to edit your photographs in black and white, and how to see in black and white as well, which is a skill in itself. So do join me for that lesson. Well done on completing lesson number 1 of module number 2. Remember to email us at support@shawacademy.com. Any questions, any issues, any problems, please reach out to us there. Okay, so for your challenge for this lesson, I want you to post something onto Instagram with at least 15 hashtags. Of course, one of those hashtags should be Shaw Smart Photo. But I want you to do this, and I'd really like to know whether or not you will see a difference. Let me know, do you get more likes on your photographs if you're posting with at least 15 hashtags? Really be interested to see if any of this actually does have a difference, because Instagram, it can be a bit tricky, especially when it comes to use with those algorithms in terms of how many people see your photographs and how many likes that you get. So let me know, but do post something on Instagram with at least 15 hashtags. If you can get even more than that, that would be great, but I find it difficult to come up with more than 15 hashtags. Post it onto onto Instagram. Shot smart photos should definitely be one of those hashtags as well. So that's the end of this lesson. Thank you so much for joining me thank you so much for joining me for module number 2. We've got plenty left to cover, lots of exciting lessons to go. Well done on completing this first lesson, and I'll talk to you all again very, very soon for lesson number 2. So until then, take care of yourselves and bye bye.